to the Fish Bowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Jalen. We're going to be doing our just recapping what happened with Louisiana Ragin Cajun this past week here, and then also we're going to be talking about their upcoming game this Thursday night against James Madison for Ragin Cajun men's basketball, and the women's. We'll also talk about them as well here. So, without further ado, let me introduce everybody to my co-host here, Jalen. How you doing today, Jalen?
I'm doing good, Chief. Another great day to be a fellow Ragin Cajun. Even though the basketball teams need to pick it up, but I'm excited. We're getting through the thick of basketball season.
Yes, very much so. We are really getting into the thick of it here as enter this first month of the brand new year of 2024. Cajuns basketball has not done so well so far, either one men or women so far here. But there's one term I think can apply to this Raging Cajun men's basketball team is live by the three and die by the three because the games they lose, they haven't shot really well beyond the arc. The games that they win, they shoot pretty well beyond the arc. So they're a three-point shooting team. If they shoot the ball very well beyond the three, more than likely they're probably going to win the game. If they don't shoot well behind the three, they'll probably lose it here. So almost like you could compare Jekyll Hyde kind of thing, but they need to get, just more higher percentage shots here, work it more inside and stuff. But Kobe Julian, he's the leading scorer in the Sun Belt Conference so far. So I mean, it's not all been bad here. I know they had a bad loss to McNeese a couple of weeks ago on December 17th. Followed that up with a win against Rice, and then they ended up losing their Sun Belt Conference opener on the road to Marshall. So Marshall had an RPI of 185, and they're going to have a big matchup coming this Thursday when they take on number 19 ranked James Madison here. So reviewing what they did last game against Marshall is very interesting here. So the three pointers, like I said, I mentioned when we started this episode, if they hit the threes, they're a pretty good team here. Like we could take the Rice game, for example. They shot 46% beyond the arc, whereas in Marshall, they only shot 22.7. You could round up and say 28, or just and Rice beat to 46%. If you want to talk about McNeese here, they shot 38.9%. So granted, it's going to depend on like if they're shooting high percentage threes and they're making them like Eastern Kentucky, they didn't have to shoot that well because they actually were making down the field goal range, but they had a lot more attempts though. So, I mean, we'll see how that actually goes here, and they're better beyond the line. Free throw wise in that game, 73%. Caden shot 85% at McNeese for free throws, 78% from free throw line. Right. So those are the gimme points, right? Those are the easy ones that you got to come up with. But Marshall, they shot 80% compared to Louisiana shooting 76% there. Shooting 23% beyond the three, you're probably gonna lose your ball game. So um their RPI was 185. We're starting to get into like there's enough games now where this RPI is starting to really average out here. So if you're looking to see what the Cajuns RPI is currently at the moment, they're at 187. So they got they got to get on a roll here. So if they can beat James Madison on Thursday, it should very well take them to higher heights in this season here because James Madison's at 70. Coastal Carolina, they're at 362. At Troy, they're at 301. And Arkansas State's at 272. So if they drop James Madison, there's a good chance for them to be 3-2 by the time they enter a game against at Texas State, who their RPI is at 9-1, but their record is like a 4-7 record. Coastal's only won one game so far this year. So it's looking really good. James Madison's undefeated. Jalen, what do you think about this upcoming slate of games for Louisiana Education men's basketball?
I think these are all winnable games. I mean, it has to start right here on Thursday when they take on James Madison. But going back to the Marshall game, I mean, yeah, the Cajuns did lose, but it's the first game, it's the opener. They were on the road. I mean, they're undefeated at home so far, 4-0. James Madison is ranked tops in the nation, not just in the Sun Belt, but in the nation when it comes to their basketball team, and they're undefeated. If the Cajuns can beat them on Thursday, not only will they keep their home winning streak going, but they'll bring so much momentum that they could take with them into their upcoming games against Coastal, Troy, Arkansas State, just build all the momentum. I think the Cajuns are still a very young team, and like you said, when they have great players that can shoot the ball, but when they're not shooting very well, that's how they lose games. But I think with Kobe Julian, who like I said, he's lead scorer in the Sun Belt. He's a candidate right now for Sun Belt Player of the Year. He's trying to lead the team. I think if the Cajuns could keep shooting, rebound the ball more, and they have players coming off the bench like young guys like Brandon Hardy and Blake Butler who putting up points and being bodies out there to play defense. I think the Cajuns can actually make some noise in the Sun Belt as they try to repeat as tournament conference champions. I mean, I think the Cajuns can win these games coming up, but the test starts with James Madison, the who's the top dog right now, and they just have to go from there.
Well, the Cajuns are 7-6 so far here. So here's undefeated at home. I think the Cajuns play better when they're at home. Of course, they haven't had like a quality opponent at home mostly this year. So the team they have played with a 4-0 record at home is UT Tyler, Youngstown State, which was a very good team last season. They had lost to Toledo, Louisiana Christian. They went to the Dome, and you have these like they had like a little showcase, and Loyola was one as well. So they ended up that was their four teams they played. The rest, like they played Tech on the road, Louisiana Tech, and they lost that one. Sanford was in Birmingham. They lost that one too. Eastern Kentucky was another one they played at the Dome. McNeese State, they had to play in Lake Charles. Rice, they played on the road. Marshall was on the road. And now they're gonna get James Madison at home. But like they're gonna have like their next two games at home. So they got James Madison and then Coastal Carolina. James Madison on Thursday, Coastal's on that Saturday. So they got two games coming up. It's gonna be a very interesting one for sure. Then you got two games on the road here. So Troy and Arkansas State, these are winnable games here. The Cajuns, if they can play better on the road, they will have a better record here. If they can at least go 500 from here on out, not really here on out, but like they like two or three wins in a row. That's on the road. Get some momentum on the road for sure. That would really help build their case for a higher position of making the Sun Belt Conference tournament and getting a higher seed here. So it is still, March isn't here yet. Okay, so we have another 2 months to go before we start getting into these like brackets and trying to really position yourself for the postseason tournament here. But um, some people really want to get rid of Marlin. They are not big fans of Marlin, and he just won a Sun Belt Conference championship, right? So it's kind of hard to say, yeah, it's time to get rid of him and stuff. But it's just like I don't know. I thought people were trying to make moves there, but he's the most successful coach we had in recent memory for sure at UL here. So I mean, look, the bad thing is, would Marlin have? I think of it like this with Marlin. You can't really compare sports. Like some people try to compare, like, well, look what Deggs has done since he's got to UL. Look what Napier did or whatever. Well, or even Desmond going to two bowl games. These guys have more chances to get to the postseason than like Marlin does, right? Bob Marlin, because he only has one slot. There's only one. There's an automatic bid, and that's it. You have to win your conference to make it to um, the postseason of the NCAA tournament for March Madness. Now, this isn't a defense of him. This is just stating facts here. Now, whereas football, look how many teams the Sun Belt got into bowl games this past season with football. They've had 12 teams in there. Baseball, they had four or five teams last baseball season get into the regional play. So there's more opportunities for these. So it makes like comparing these, like I look at Facebook, okay, and I kind of read these things and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me because, obviously if you throw a big enough target out there, you're always going to get something. So that's why it's difficult to compare different sports to that whenever you're trying to compare these two. So that's my take on the whole thing here. What you think about it, Jalen?
I think, like you said, I think it's unfair to compare basketball to football and baseball, where football and baseball, you get so many opportunities to try to get to postseason, especially football. You have to win half your games, you have to win 6 games to get in. I mean, it's not easy, but at the same time, it's easier than it is in basketball. Because, like you said, when it comes to basketball, you don't win. You can go undefeated in the regular season in the Sun Belt against every team, but if you don't win that conference championship, you're going to be at home or in the NIT. You're not going to make the NCAA tournament. You're not going to make the big dance in March. And I think Coach Marlin's part, yeah, I've seen people talk. people talk about how, oh, he should have been gone years ago. I mean, this year he has a very young team that I mentioned that multiple times on this podcast. He has a very young team. They just have to get things together. They can shoot well when those guys are hitting those threes. You should see how explosive this Cajuns offense can be. And all you have to do is play defense, and they'd be in every single game. I think they'd be in every single game. But the thing, you're looking at years back, yeah, last year they won the tournament. They made it to the NCAA tournament. Almost could have upset a great Tennessee team. And I want to say the year before that, they were an 8 seed and made it to the conference championship. Like nobody thought they were going to make it all the way there. They thought, oh yeah, they're going to just lose. Marlon's going to be gone. No, it didn't happen. They went on a run. They made it to the finals, and everybody was like, okay, well, maybe Coach Marlon can bring this team back next year. And then you get Jordan Brown, who's gone now, but they had him, added some more pieces, and look at that, they made it to a tournament. So I think Bob Marlin is a good coach. I just think this year the team is very young, and you have to see how far they can get. And I think all these guys can come back next year, at least most of them. I mean, like I said earlier, Kobe Julian it should be one of the top guys right now for Sun Belt Player of the Year. And you know the history he's had dealing with injuries and trying to play, and now he gets to showcase his talent. I think the Cajuns are in a great spot right now. They just have to pull out these wins.
I would compare like playing being a Sunbelt basketball is like a fantasy football league. Like, so let's say if you have a 12 team league and there's 8 playoff spots, you don't have to have a 500 record to make it in there. You just gotta have like 5 or 6 wins and just like you can get the 8 seed and just get hot at the right time and win the whole entire fantasy football tournament. I mean, yeah, championship like that because I've done it and I've seen other people do it. And like that 8 to 1 seed, right? That matchup there is always a scary one because you're like, man, bro, you kind of strong. You might knock me out right here. But that's kind of like similar to what Sunbelt basketball is, that you have to get hot at the right time. And I know some people have mentioned like his comments like, oh, the only 3 games in March really matter, which to be honest, he wasn't lying at all. He was actually saying the truth, to be honest, because you just literally, if the Cajun just qualify for the Sun Belt Conference tournament, that is enough. You got to be in it to win it, they say. So if he gets hot at the right time, like he did like 2 years ago, because I myself, I thought Marlin was done after that year. I thought the problem was like, yeah, because like you looked at the trends and the numbers, and it was like, yeah, this isn't looking really good here. And that run probably saved his job right now. Like it probably did. And he followed up with a Sun Belt championship. So we'll see what happens with all that there. And I mean, but as far as predictions go, I'm going to predict these games, these next 2 games for sure here. James Madison and Coastal Carolina here. So I want the Cajun to win this game really bad. I don't see them beating it. I think they're still trying to gel together as an offense. The inconsistencies of the previous games just doesn't suit well with me for me to predict them beating James Madison. I think they'll lose to James Madison, but I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I think it'll be closer than a lot of people think here. They're gonna be at home. They play better at home. So give me an 80 to 76 win for James Madison at home on the road against the Cajuns here. But as far as Coastal goes, I think the Cajuns beat Coastal. I said the streak ends against James Madison. I think they'll rebound Saturday, get the win against Coastal. Um, then they go on the road at Troy. I think the Cajuns have to figure out their road blues, and I think Troy will be a good place to start because they're not really doing that well this year. They got a 301 RPI. Not looking too good for Troy anyway. So I say Troy will lose to the Cajuns. I think they'll get back on track. What do you think, Jalen?
So I'm gonna just say I think the Cajuns are gonna beat Coastal, and I think they're gonna beat Troy. Now, when it comes to the James Madison game, I'm gonna go with the Cajuns on this one. They play much better at home than they do on the road. Even though I think they're capable of winning on the road, I think their shooting will propel them to a win, and they'll take James Madison's win streak away, and that'll give them our favorite word we like to use, momentum. I think that'll give the Cajuns so much momentum, and that'll help carry them for the rest of the season.
All right, that's some very good insight there, Jalen. So let's talk about the women's side of things. Now, it hasn't been pretty. Like we've been talking about this, both these teams have been struggling so far this year. but all hope is not lost yet here. So we're looking at RPIs for women's basketball. They're at 230. It's not good at all, you know. So they're one of so let's see, they got three. I'm trying to see why is this page doing that? Okay, so they have 5 wins on the year and 6 losses. Granted, it's not good. They've lost 4 of their last 5. Their last one was against LSU Shreveport. They lost the opener to App State. We had a 177 net and a 96 RPI. Old Dominion's at 69 RPI. James Madison at 78 RPI. Then they got Troy. That's their next 3 games. Old Dominion, James Madison, and Troy. So Aiden, these teams here that are coming up are pretty good here. So I don't the women, it's just been a lot. Like if you look at the stats from the Shreveport game, LSU Shreveport, they shot 50% from 3-point line. They had 37% field goals, 37%. So you got to get higher numbers than that to win. Field goal shooting is not that good out there. Whereas App State, they shot 49.1%. Cajuns, they did shoot a little bit better in that game, 43.8. But they did shoot better on 3-pointers. Now where they lost this game was the 2-point shots because they made 60%. App State was 18 of 30. The Cajuns were 17 of 37. That was the big difference in the ball game. So when they would get down low, App State was able to put them buckets in. So as far as like offensive rebounding, which would give your second chance points, they had 13, Louisiana had 6. So if you offense out rebound somebody on the offensive side of the ball more than their defense, you're probably going to win the game. Like for example, this North Texas one. Second chance points matter a lot in women's basketball and same thing as men's basketball. It just matters in the sport of basketball, period. North Texas had 9 offensive rebounds in that game. Louisiana had 5. LSU, when they played LSU and when they played Lamar, looking at these two here, LSU was number 7 in the country, which they still are right now. They had 19 offensive rebounds, LSU did. The Cajuns only had 8. And that right there, LSU shot 59% from the 2-point land. Cajun did do better from 3. You know, LSU there without out rebound them defensively as well. Lamar 13, Cajuns 4. So yeah, Cajuns have to get better at rebounding the ball if they want to beat Old Dominion, which I got the Cajuns losing their next 2 games. They have to get better off the glass and put these second chance points up. What you think, Jalen?
Yeah, like you said, Chief, when it comes to the Ragin Cajun women's basketball team, I think rebounding is a strong suit that they need to, work on more to be able to win some games. But also, we know this team can shoot the ball very well. I know Brandon Williams can shoot it from all over the place. And I will cut the Cajuns some slack in this matchup they had against Appalachian State. When they had lost at home by 13 points. Tamara Johnson didn't play in this game. She's a key player, one of the best players on the team. So I will cut them a little slack, but not too much, because coming up they have a 3-game road trip starting January off on the road at Old Dominion, then James Madison, and then Troy. Oh, and can't forget after that 4 game against Arkansas State. The next 4 games are on the road against Sunbelt teams. Can you imagine going to Cajuns 0-4 on that stretch and start 0-5 in Sunbelt play? From then on, it's only going to go downhill from there. So the Cajuns need to start rebounding more, shooting the ball well, and just play more as a team together. I know they can. I know they have a lot of new pieces on this team, but they just have to find a way to grind out some wins because it's not looking pretty. And I know App State hasn't been one of the top tier teams either. They're 7-5 on the year, but looking at Old Dominion, they're 9-2. So the Cajuns need to just turn it around, but they have to do it very quickly. I think it's kind of the opposite of the men, where the men can really bounce back, but the women, that they really have to like go out there and produce wins, because it's only going to get worse if they continue to lose.
Yeah. So I think we kind of covered everything here for this basketball edition here of the Fishbowl Radio. Hope you have a great and wonderful week here. We'll see what happens here next time here, and hopefully we'll have some good news reports next week here. Thank you for tuning into the Fishbowl Radio, and we'll see you here next time here on the Fishbowl Radio.